is up, Evil Dead fans? This video is going to pertain to the bolts for this hero chainsaw. Now, whether you're doing a one-to-one chainsaw from the TV show, one second, you guys are a little crooked. That's a little better. Whether you're doing a one-to-one chainsaw, which is getting as exact as possible to one specific chainsaw, from the TV show or the movie, you have to do the research. Now, this one I'm doing is a one-to-one to a specific chainsaw. And the problem I had was, I had to double check everything on this specific saw, and I could not figure out, for the life of me, the front bolts that are right in the front of the body and the ones on the back end that hold in the block. Now, I referenced all the photos I have of that chainsaw, and I didn't get a clear view. And what it looked like to me is these bolts were like a squarish, but they looked like a star at the same time. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, if this is an oddball one, I really need to figure out what it is. So what I did is I had to dig a little deeper. I went to Evil Dead Chainsaws because I know it's one of the least modified ones that Rob did. And I know it was his Army of Darkness blanks that he sent them. So I looked at those, didn't get a very good look, and then I looked deeper into his photos of the ones he was constructing, especially the Army of Darkness ones. I'm sorry if I said Evil Dead, sorry about that. His Army of Darkness chainsaw. And then I had to look at him constructing his Army of Darkness chainsaw on the same thing. So I was really looking at it, and all I got really was a good side view. And so I said to myself, where else can I do some research? So I went to his YouTube channel, which he has, Odyssey of a Superfan. If you haven't seen that yet, Rob Book of the Dead, Odyssey of a Superfan, it's very, very good. And I had to reference the photos that he had for him making the chainsaws for the TV show. And so I grabbed some screen caps from that and did a really close investigative look at it and found what he used. And it's very deceiving. Like I said, it looked squarish, but it looked like a star. So I'm going to show you how I figured out what the front ones are and then the back ones. All right, so what I did is I had to look at it at all angles, different nuts and bolts. I went to the hardware store, and this is what I found. If you look right here, all it is the Phillips head. But if you look at it at a different angle, it starts to square out. Now, added the paint and the gunk, all the weathering and whatnot, it could give off a square look, just at a weird angle or a somewhat star shape. And that's what I was getting on that. So if you really look, see how it's kind of turns into like a square right there. Now let's look at it on the chainsaw right now. Okay, here we are with the chainsaw. I got to cut these down. These are just kind of as an example right now. You can see the Phillips head right there. Now the way I had to find the size of the head is I had to correlate that with the size of the bolt here. So what I did is I had to angle it. You see right there, it gives a squarish appearance from those side views. Now this is on particularly that hero saw that I'm doing because, as we know, the production company did do their own chainsaws and nuts and bolts and all that stuff. It's kind of different all over the place. The placement for this one is right where they need to be. I have taken screen grabs to where these are a little higher or they're a little lower. So I had to do it specifically to this chainsaw. But if you look, it gives that squarish look on the inside and with just a slight star look. Now, is any Phillips head correct? Absolutely not. Another thing I had to look was at side view. Now, if you look at the side view, it's got a nice rounded, somewhat lifted, rounded edge. Now, let me find one that is different. Let's see what I have here. Okay, I got one right here. See that? It's somewhat lifted. But if you look at this one, it's more of a flat side with a mushroom head. Ha ha! That's a bad joke. Sorry for laughing about that. But anyways, you can see that's more of a mushroom head and flatter at the bottom rather than a lifted edge. Like that, more of a rounded edge. But that is correct for that. Now, when it comes to the two bolts that go, or the two screws, these are actually screws that go through here. And I know what heads they have and what they match. Now, this is specifically for this hero saw, guys. Remember that. Don't be like, oh, I'm doing my chainsaw and it's wrong. This is specifically for this hero saw. For instance, I've seen ones to where this line isn't quite as drastically sanded down. I've seen it more square. I prefer the more square, actually. But this head, this style of head, is actually what you want back here versus this up here. Because these are bolts. This has a screw type head. And then you want the flatter ones, the more of the mushroom shape back here with screws. So that took a lot of investigation work to figure out. Like I said, I had to correlate the size of these with these. Now these are a 6mm bolt and nut. And what these are those ones that I got. They're just cut back and almost ready to go. Let me grab the top. We can take a peek at that with these nuts and bolts. I talked about this one before on how it's flatter. It's rounded but flatter, and the head has to be bigger or wider than these heads right here. These are these 6mm bolts that I had to order. Now, one thing you'll notice back here, remember I said these are cut and smooth? You will see that the bolt or the nut, let's see if I can focus a little better, guys, I'm sorry, isn't completely exactly round, that bolt. You can see some spot is thinner, some spots are thicker. That is continuous with that chainsaw because these are cut and smoothed out. They are not just fit the size. You can see that right there. How we have a smaller edge and a thicker edge. Same with over here. And then over here too. And over here. These are 6mm. This head size, I have no idea. I got lucky in finding the right size. Just one of those things that you find, because I know that size of head is bigger or wider than these. And let me think. All right, one more thing. With the nuts and bolts, I went over this before. With this side over here, remember that's that flat style hex head. It's a 4mm. It comes all the way through this side. Pokes out just a little bit with a 4mm nut on the end of it. You want a stock looking body bolt. And also, you don't want one of those here, because what you want is you want one of those 6mm ones that I showed you that's on the top here. That's where this goes. And those 6mm go all over the wrist cuff too. If you're doing it specifically to this hero saw, that is a few things you're gonna need to do is to get these funky bolts. All right, before I let you go, I gotta say one thing. Janelle Keller, you're commenting a lot on the KOS page because your notifications keep popping down. So that's why I keep pausing in my video. So that's all right though. Anyways, I've talked about Gate City Ghouls. Gate City Ghouls before. They did that awesome Ash vs. Evil Dead prayer pin and the sticker I showed you guys a while back. He's doing another giveaway right now. Now, what you need to do. Now, I don't know if he's doing it separate with the KOS, because I know he's doing it with the KOS. What you need to do is go to Gate City Ghouls on Instagram and put down, or you have to follow him on Instagram. And also, even put down a comment. Say, hey, I want to be part of this giveaway, because what he's giving away is both those pins, the red one, the white one, and vials of dirt from the Evil Dead cabin. Another way to do it, if you're part of the KOS, find him on the KOS. talk to him, message him, say, hey, how do I get in this giveaway? One thing is he has a post out there saying, hey, if you're on the KOS, put down your Instagram name or your handle or @ or whatever it is, and you still have to follow him on Instagram. If you're not part of the KOS, go to his Instagram, Gate City Ghouls, and follow him, and then send him, just put down a comment or a message to him saying, hey, this is my @ at Instagram. I'm following you. I want to be part of this giveaway. Because remember, it's both those pins and also 3 or 4 vials of the dirt in one of the boxes, like Linda's necklace had. So, guys, girls, anybody, it's a great giveaway. You should definitely check it out. And it's a good time. And I have one big shout out. I want to make this special for somebody, so I'm going to wait till the next video for this shout out. He's a good person. And there's Janelle Keller. Janelle Keller also commented again on the Knights of Samaria page. So Janelle, I'm glad you're active on the Knights of Samaria page. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of the different things I've had to do to find the bolts and screws for this specific chainsaw, this hero chainsaw. And I can't wait till it's done to show you guys exactly what it looks like when it's done. So everybody out there, until next time, you guys stay groovy.